Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we try to cut through the noise and really get you well informed.
Great to be here.
So today, we're diving into a word. It's one that gets thrown around a lot, divisiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It instantly signals conflict, disagreement, feels like it's just constantly humming in the background of our conversations, doesn't it?
It really does. And often I think we just hear it and immediately think, okay, that's bad. End of story.
Right. But what if that common understanding, how we sort of instinctively react to it, what if that's actually being, well, manipulated?
That's the core question, isn't it? It's used so casually sometimes, but our source material for this deep dive suggests there's often a very deliberate intent behind it.
Exactly. And that's where we're headed today. We've been looking at some really fascinating insights, specifically from excerpts titled Divisiveness, a Tool of Power and Privilege.
Yeah, quite a title.
It is.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to unpack well, maybe surprising ways this term gets used, not just casually, but strategically, often by people with something specific to gain.
We want to try and expose what might really be happening when you hear someone cry divisiveness.
So get ready maybe to rethink this word a little. We're going to explore how this label, which seems so obviously negative, can actually be a tactic.
A tactic to shut down important conversations, yeah. And to basically keep things as they are, maintain the status quo.
We'll look at who benefits from that, and maybe what it means for actual progress, for genuine unity.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Right. So on the surface, like we said, divisiveness is often just slapped onto any strong disagreement. Someone speaks out, someone dissents, boom, they're being divisive. That's kind of the common take.
Yeah, that's the easy label. But this source material, it pushes back hard on that. It makes this argument that the term is, and I'm quoting loosely here, commonly thrown around by individuals in positions of power and privilege who are afraid of losing their advantage.
Afraid of losing their advantage. That's pretty pointed.
It is, and the source connects that fear directly to how the word is used. It's wielded as a means of discrediting and silencing opposing voices.
So it's not just disagreement. It's actively trying to shut people down.
Exactly, and it goes further. It's not just about silencing. It's sometimes about actively creating or maybe amplifying divisions, based on race, gender, religion, or really any difference that can be exploited to maintain their status quo.
Wow. So it's not just noticing differences, it's potentially using them, maybe even manufacturing them, to keep power structures in place.
That's the argument being made, yeah.
So why does this matter for you, listening? Well, the source argues this isn't just wordplay. It's presented as a deliberate manipulation of language.
Right, designed to essentially delegitimize the concerns and grievances of marginalized groups. And by doing that,
It perpetuates the very inequalities that, benefit the people using the term in the first place.
exactly. And the ultimate effect, according to the source, is that it hinders progress towards a more equal and just society. It's a roadblock.
Okay, so if we take that idea that accusing someone of being divisive is often this strategic move,
A tactic.
a tactic. The source looks into that. It says accusing someone is frequently used to silence and discredit those who are speaking out against injustice or advocating for change.
And this leads to a really interesting point the source makes about what these accusers actually want.
Yeah, what is the goal then?
The text suggests they're seeking unity on their own terms. I love that phrase. Unity, but where their beliefs and ideals are upheld without any challenge or opposition.
Unity on their own terms. That's
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound much like real unity, does it? More like demanding agreement.
Precisely. And think about the kind of discussion that allows for it. The source highlights an unwillingness, really, to engage in productive conversations or compromise.
No give and take.
Nope. Instead, it's a demand for conformity to their own worldview. And by calling someone divisive, they cleverly shift the whole focus.
How so?
Well, the attention moves away from the issue at hand, the actual problem being discussed, and on to the person. It creates this sort of false narrative of conflict and division.
Ah, okay. So it becomes about the disruptive person, not the potentially valid point they're raising.
Exactly. And that allows the accusers, as the source puts it, to maintain their own power and control without having to address any uncomfortable truths or confront their privilege.
It's a deflection. A powerful one, it seems. Point the finger over there.
Yeah. But the source doesn't just critique, it offers an alternative vision of unity.
Right. It defines true unity differently. It says it cannot be achieved through silencing and suppression.
Right. But rather through open and respectful dialogue where all voices are heard and valued. That paints a very different picture, doesn't it?
It really does. It's about inclusion, not just. quiet agreement with the top.
Mm-hmm. And this actually brings us to maybe the most profound point in the source material, something that really challenges how we think. What happens when truth itself, or justice itself, gets called divisive?
Whoa. Yeah, how does the source handle that? Because we tend to think of truth and justice as, inherently good, unifying ideally.
Well, the source has this really striking line. It says, "If truth and justice divide us, it is not their fault."
Okay,
Mm.
unpack that. That's counterintuitive.
It is. The argument is that truth and justice don't create the divisions. They merely expose divisions that already exist within us. They act like a light switch, maybe?
So they reveal societal fractures, but they aren't the cause of the fractures themselves. It's like blaming the X-ray for revealing a broken bone.
That's a great analogy, exactly. The source really emphasizes this. It is our response to truth and justice that causes divisiveness, not their inherent qualities.
Our reaction is the problem, not the truth itself.
Right. The text says things like, "The fault lines exposed by truth and justice are not their doing," and "Blaming truth and justice for divisiveness ignores the underlying problems."
So don't scapegoat the messenger, basically.
Pretty much. One line sums it up. Divisiveness stemming from truth and justice is a reflection of society, not their nature. So, for you listening, the key takeaway here is that the source sees this kind of divisiveness, the kind that arises when uncomfortable truths surface, as a symptom
A symptom of what?
of deeper issues, of deeper societal rifts. It's diagnostic, not the disease itself.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not that truth causes the break. It just shows us where the break already was. So let's try and tie some of these threads together. We're looking at divisiveness as potentially a weaponized term.
Yeah, the source is quite explicit about that framing. It keeps coming back to who uses the term and why.
And the pattern seems pretty consistent in the text.
Overwhelmingly, it points towards power. The author suggests this label gets deployed most often when truth, or maybe calls for change, start to threaten the existing hierarchy.
The source gives some pretty stark examples of this thinking, right? Things like,
Yeah, like criticism is divisive only when the truth hurts the status quo. Or think about this one. Unity is praised until it challenges the privileged view.
oof, yeah, that cuts deep. And it continues that theme, doesn't it? The source argues that those in power label dissent as divisive to maintain control.
And that any calls for unity are selective when self-interest is at stake. It paints a picture where divisiveness becomes a concern only when it challenges the existing order.
Only when it rocks their boat.
Pretty much. It's framed as a tool to shut down legitimate issues, ensuring that unity, if it happens, is always
On their terms. Back to that phrase again.
Exactly. The source concludes, really, that divisiveness is weaponized by those protecting their privilege, and that it's a tool wielded by those with much to lose from change.
It's about holding on to comfort, holding on to control, no matter the underlying problems being raised.
That's the core argument presented in the text.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? I guess the main point is, next time you hear that word divisive being used, especially maybe in a public debate or when someone's pushing for change.
Think about the context.
Yeah. Ask. Who's using the word? What might they be trying to protect? Is there an issue they're maybe trying to shift the focus away from?
Because our deep dive into this particular source suggests that divisiveness is often way more complicated than just describing a simple disagreement.
It can be this calculated tool used to hold on to power, to stifle progress.
And the key, according to this analysis, is to recognize and challenge this manipulation of language, to see it for what it might be.
Okay, so here's a final thought, a provocative one maybe, for you to take away, building on what we've discussed.
Right.
If it's true, as the source argues, that truth and justice merely expose divisions that already exist within us, then what does working towards genuine unity actually look like? Is it just about making disagreement disappear? Aiming for quiet conformity?
Or is real unity something more courageous? Maybe it's the willingness to actually confront those uncomfortable truths, the ones that reveal where society is already fractured.
Yeah. Is unity the absence of visible cracks or the strength to face them and maybe try to mend them together?
Something to definitely chew on as you navigate the conversations happening all around you.